Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Beyond Fulfillment Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Goulas, and this week, my guest is successful serial entrepreneur and current CEO of House of Bricks, Adam House. Welcome, Adam.
Oh, thanks for having me on. And so you referenced me as successful, but that success has only come from failing over and over again and just not giving up.
Okay, well, yeah, appreciate you letting me know that. We'll certainly dig into your journey. If you could, can you just give us like the backstory of your bio up until where you are today?
Yeah, well, just at a high level, I grew up in the Detroit area, actually had a great opportunity to be an intern for Dan Gilbert my senior year of high school. So founder of Rocket Mortgage, owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I really caught fire and passion for entrepreneurship. So I started my first business out of my apartment with a couple $100, grew it into a multi-million-dollar marketing company. I started a mobile technology company that I exited, started a healthcare analytics business, and I also played semi-pro basketball and was co-owner and CEO of the team. And now I have the House of Bricks advisory services where I'm teaching other entrepreneurs how to grow and scale their business.
Okay. And so you got a chance to intern for Dan Gilbert in high school, and then you started your first business right after you dropped out of college. What gave you that spark to get into the entrepreneurial game?
Well, I was after my freshman year, I just realized that everything they were teaching me, I didn't really see how it was applicable in the real world. And I love to go against the grain. And so I felt like it was just something that I wanted to do. And it was a passion of mine to own my own business. So why wait 3 more years to graduate? It was a tough conversation with my mom. She has her doctorate in education. So fortunately, they didn't have FaceTime back then. I think I called her from a payphone and just said, "Hey, Mom, great news. I'm going to start my own business. And the bad news is I'm dropping out of college." So all I heard was a click, but it seemed to work out pretty well for me.
Yeah, it certainly did. And in that first business, like you referenced, you started it with a couple $100, and in an interview later, I heard you say, that was a bad idea. You're almost virtually guaranteed to fail if you just start with that low capital, given everything you have to deal with. But somehow you made that work and you turned it into a successful multi-million-dollar company and had an exit. So how did you do that? So with your first business and starting with so little, how were you able to grow it to what it was?
Uh, well, I just had a lot of passion. I grew up an athlete, so I loved competing. I loved winning, and athletics translates very nicely into business. You have to build a team. You have to have a product. You have competition. I think at the time, not necessarily a bad idea, but I was not smart enough or too ignorant to realize what I was signing up for because 9 out of 10 businesses fail within the first year. So it was a 10% chance of me making it. And with very little capital and very little business experience, it was probably even lower percentage chance of success. But I was able to do it. God opened the right doors for me. And I just continued to press on and build the business. I was never focused on the exit because you experience more of a rush on the climb of the mountain than you do when you actually reach the top.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I heard you also tell a story. So you made a successful exit, got a little bit of a windfall there, and then you're in Miami and you're living in a luxury condo complex with celebrities as your neighbors, like Pharrell and Jimmy Buffett and whatnot. And it's you had this moment where you're on the roof and you cried out to God and you said, "If this is all there is, or this is all you have for me, I don't want to live anymore." So you coming from like a lot of entrepreneurs aspire for that exit and upgrade in lifestyle and the big windfall and whatnot, and then you had some very early success, but it seems like there was some emptiness there. Can you just talk about that?
Yeah, well, God can definitely fill any void that you have in life. But what you really have to be aware of is what season are you in? Where do you want to go? how are you going to get there, and what is the cost? And I'm not just talking about money, but there's collateral damage. When you're trying to make gains, there's always losses in other areas. And again, there isn't a right answer. I'm not saying don't start a business or don't try to make money, because all of those are great things, but you just have to have the self-awareness of what you're signing up for. And I'm hosting an event on LinkedIn on Monday, just talking about entrepreneurship and depression. So I'm not a counselor or a psychiatrist and trying to put labels on people, but of any profession, actually entrepreneurship has the highest rate of depression, but it's really a silent struggle because entrepreneurs are often prideful and blind to their own weak spots. And so in that process, it can create a lot of collateral damage. So at that time, it was just, I've kind of achieved everything I thought I wanted to achieve, and just kind of felt some emptiness. But it was just a season that I went through, a valley experience, and I've continued to start businesses and grow. But it really just comes down to the right self-leadership.
Okay. And you also mentioned too, kind of going on that same theme of the collateral damage, like some stories too, where you used to, with your wife, you would sneak the laptop into bed, wait for her to fall asleep, and then open
Yeah.
it up and,
Yeah.
proceed with the emails and whatnot. And, all of us entrepreneurs can relate to kind of that workaholic-esque type of lifestyle where you just always want to be pushing the business forward. And, the wife can be like, hey, can I get some time? Or,
Right.
it's so how did you, because obviously you've scaled and sold multiple businesses. How did you deal with that through all of the demands that the business puts on your time?
Well, again, I go back to what season are you in? What is the cost of what you're trying to do? And there are just different seasons in life. So after selling my company, I was home all the time for the first 2 weeks. And so it was like, my wife's like, I think after 10 days, I was like delegating tasks to her. All right, yeah, we should do the DVDs, and, let's organize the garage. And of course, I don't do it. I'm a delegator. It's just assigning task to her. So I give you a word of caution, don't assign tasks to your wife, but it's something that you learn over time. And the best advice I can give you is find an advisor, find a mentor that is in a place now where you want to go. Someone that's walked through the valley that you're in, or they've built businesses. Advisors and mentors or coaches can help optimize your time in struggling and really care about you as the entrepreneur.
Okay. And you're currently running a company that coaches other entrepreneurs and provides guidance. And like you said, you have the event on LinkedIn about entrepreneurs and depression. So what are some common challenges you're seeing today with like the entrepreneurs that you work
The problems are pretty much the same as they've always been. You have either a cash flow problem, you don't have enough cash to fund the business. You have a people problem, you can't recruit or retain or attract the right talent. You have a product problem. What you thought your clients wanted uh, was something that you came up with, but you didn't engage your clients to create your MVP or your customers, because they're going to give you the best data to build the best product. And then having the right growth strategy. So if you're not looking to grow your business or don't have the right vision, you're not going to be able to raise capital, and the business is not going to grow.
Okay. And so when you're working with these different entrepreneurs and it's one of those type of problems, like are you finding any common type of themes, or as far as why they got into where they're at, or what solutions can help them?
The solutions that can help is really starting with self-leadership, right? It's more difficult to lead yourself than it is to lead the world. And starting with you as the entrepreneur, investors like to bet the jockey and not the horse. So if you don't have a track record in being an entrepreneur, get advice. And again, not just promoting my services. There's information you can get free anywhere. Guys like Tony Robbins or Ed Milet, they have just wisdom that they can pass on to you to help not really skip the struggle zone, because every entrepreneur goes through it. You spend 80% of your time struggling. So being aware of what you signed up for, and really just looking for patterns in your business and ways that other people have solved the challenges that you're trying to face.
Freight shippers, are you looking for a better experience shipping less than truckload? Are you tired of unpleasant surprises, reclass, reweighs, and the invoice always being higher than the quote? Well, experience the difference with SPI Logistics. I joined SPI as a freight agent to offer a better experience to our 3PL customers, and I'm now offering that same experience to freight shippers nationwide. You'll get the same personal service you've come to expect when you deal with me, and I've got a whole team of experts that help with all aspects of the transaction from start to finish. Click the link below, or you can email me directly. Thank you. And so you started House of Bricks podcast in July 2023? Is that right?
Right.
And what made you decide to do that?
It was really my wife pushing me out to tell my story. I've never been a guy to get my name in lights, even though my name is in lights behind me. It wasn't really about me or promoting myself, but my experience isn't meant just for me. It's meant for the people that I can inspire and influence and impact on a daily basis. And so, as you mentioned, I lived in Miami, had a oceanfront condo on Miami Beach, and have built a lot of I don't want to call them famous, but famous athletes, top CEOs, keynote speakers, just a great network of people. And I wanted them to share their story, because everyone sees the success, but they don't know what people go through to get there, and then also the cost of life that comes with having success. So I started the House of Bricks, and we've featured some NBA champions, Super Bowl champions, guys in the Hall of Fame at University of Kansas. So really some inspirational stories, but every one of them have a common theme: is they faced adversity, they didn't give up, they overcame it, and it made them stronger in the end.
And that's one of the like what you say about the House of Bricks too, is life's experiences are like bricks, and you use those experiences to build a strong foundation. Am I saying that
That's
right?
it. Right.
Okay. And something else too, I've heard you talk about with regards to the mental health too, is sometimes you'll look at your problems and you say, well, okay, yeah, I'm going through this or that, but I have it so much better than many people. But you like to make the point of whatever you're going through is real to you.
Yeah, because it's challenging living in the United States, right? We're the wealthiest nation in the world. I mean, what our problems aren't relative, or wouldn't seem important to challenges that other people may face, or if you suffered an injury or a loss of a family member. If you compare it through that lens or other people's problems, you may even feel guilty about being weighed down by a specific thing. But your story is your story. Only you can tell it. And the challenges that you face are real to you. And there's ways to solve them. You can join communities. We're launching a community for the House of Bricks to inspire entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs are often alone, and they have that independent mindset. And it is okay to be independent, but you were not designed to be alone.
And do you find, because that's something too, and that's one of the reasons I started the podcast, is just on my founder journey, I seem to learn the most from talking to other founders and kind of sharing the struggles, so to speak, that kind of only what you go through. Have you found that that's been a big help in terms of the community, and just encouraging people to really talk about what they're going through, and not feel like they're so alone?
Yeah, absolutely. There's an energy transfer, just being around other people, sharing stories. People have been telling stories since the beginning of mankind, right? That's how they uh, kept generations alive, family stories. It was through storytelling. And like I said, everyone has a unique story that only they can tell in a specific way that creates a specific energy. And when you connect with other people facing challenges, that energy can create movement and progress. They may have been in a situation you're in now and they were able to get through it. So just connecting with people, being a part of community, that will accelerate your growth.
Excellent. And another thing too, I heard you say is so prior to starting this podcast and the House of Bricks movement, you were not on social media at all?
I think I had an account. I just was never a social media guy. It's a big distraction and sends you down a lot of rabbit holes. But yes, I've started building a brand on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram. But I do have a team that does it for me. So your most valuable asset is your time. And as an entrepreneur, the worst place you can spend it is building an audience and not building your business.
Okay. And you also mentioned too that even despite all your success and multiple eight-figure exits and whatnot, even getting on social media for the first time and really being out there, you had some anxiety you had to deal with.
Yeah, I mean the most self-limiting belief or common self-limiting belief is in people don't want to invest in themselves because if it doesn't work out, you're the only one to blame. So in my previous businesses, we had a product we were selling, and of course now I'm the product. My stories, the product, my inspiration, my motivation, my transformation are all things that people are, or I'm hoping people are attracted to and inspiring them. I do get good feedback, but you throw up your first post on Instagram and the only people that like it are you, the people that work for you and your kids. And so it's, it's tough and it's a ever changing game. So again, focus on building your business and not your audience, but you do want to have a presence on these platforms because it creates social proof.
Sure. And you've also said about House of Bricks is it's a movement to inspire others to take action towards their dreams. And that's a common theme we seem to hear so much is people like wanting to do something or aspiring or they have the dream in their heart, but the big barrier, of course, is just getting them to take action or enough action towards that. Why do you think that's such a problem for so many people?
Uh, it's just self-limiting beliefs. It's a mindset. And just to unveil a secret, no entrepreneur knows what they're doing at the beginning. So I have 5 things that I talk about and encourage entrepreneurs, and it's how to make entrepreneurship simple. So the first thing you have to do is start, right? That action will create feedback to your business and how you can drive it forward. The second is you have to innovate continuously. So taking that data, taking that action, continually innovate, spend time with your customers, improve the product. The third is now your dream of being an entrepreneur is meeting reality. So you have to have the right mindset and you're in the struggle zone. Get comfortable there because you're going to spend 80% of your time as an entrepreneur in that struggle zone. And the fourth component is P for patterns. There's always patterns in business. So you can look back at the things that you've tested, what worked, what didn't. Stop doing the things that aren't working and lean into the ones that are. And then you're going to leverage those patterns, which is the L, to help accelerate your business. And then the most important thing is E, you have to execute. And that is what separates the businesses that succeed from those that don't.
Okay, excellent. And so with what you're doing now, growing the podcast and growing the consulting business, like what does success in that field look like for you?
My success is based on how many people I can inspire, how many lives I can transform, and how many businesses I can help be successful. So it's feeding my entrepreneurial addiction, I'll call it, because I'll probably do this for the rest of my life. I've just created to build and scale businesses, which I am building the House of Bricks podcast and our business advisory services, but it also fills a passion of mine, which is to serve other people and make an impact. And that's what I'm able to do through this, business advisory services is help entrepreneurs grow and scale.
Is that the most rewarding part of this whole journey is impacting and helping other people?
Absolutely.
Okay. Another question too I wanted to ask you about. So I heard this on your podcast about your own journey. You've lived in 22 different houses.
Well, I just moved back to Detroit, so now I think it's 23 or 24. So yes, we've moved a lot.
Wow, that's like once a year almost. Is that
That's
right?
uh that's just since I've been married. So we've been married 20 years. If you count like we moved out to remodel and then moved back in, yeah, it's about, 23, 24 times. So my wife's a saint. I think this was the last move. If we move again, it will be me by myself.
Got it. Got it. Okay. What's your favorite place that you've lived out of all those moves?
Uh, I enjoyed Miami Beach the most, but it's obviously not a place to raise my four sons, and somehow they all ended up playing hockey. So hockey in Miami is not very popular. But so for the current state of life I'm in, I love the Motor City.
Okay. Okay. And you mentioned your four boys. So how has being a father impacted your life and your ability as an entrepreneur?
Well, it's interesting. I've evolved as a leader in my businesses kind of at the same path as I've evolved as a father, right? You start out with all these great expectations and dreams and a certain way of doing things, and then you realize those dreams meet reality. And so the older my boys get, the more patient I've become as a leader, the more understanding, the more I've learned to use failure not as a brick to weigh you down, but using failure as an opportunity to learn. And those obstacles become stepping stones to help you reach your dreams and goals. But being a father next to being a husband is the greatest uh, enjoyment in my life.
Okay. And that's something too, an issue that I feel like so many people have. It's just a balance, right? Everyone's got to find it for themselves, given their life and their business. But any advice in terms of what you've experienced to give people in terms of trying to balance the right or find the right balance with, everything you need to give to your business and also being there for your family and trying to make that as smooth as possible.
There's no right answer. It's again self-awareness and seasonal recognition, right? What are you willing to sacrifice? Because if you're giving your time to your business, it's taking away time for your family. If you're spending too much time with your family, then you're not growing your business. So you have to understand kind of where you want to go, how you're going to get there, and what are the costs on the journey. And the best way that I've solved for this is just communication, communicating with your family. It's not quantity, it's quality in the time that you're spending. But as an entrepreneur, there really isn't an off switch, right? So I'm back in the grind of building a business, starting a podcast. So I'm running 100 miles an hour, but I'm very specific and try to create the quality time.
Okay. And so if people want to get in touch with you and find out more about the consulting business or any questions about the podcast or anything else that you're doing, what's the best way they can do that?
You can find me on LinkedIn. Just search Adam House Senior, and I'll pop up. Has links to our podcast and our Future Proof or Fail program that we take entrepreneurs through. You can also go to my website, which is adamhousesr.com, adamhousesenior.com. And I'm on all your social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. So, but the best place is either LinkedIn or my website.
Okay. Okay, excellent. And we'll link that in the show notes as well. Well, Adam, thank you so much for taking the time to be here and best of luck on your journey. And that's all the time we have. We'll see you next time. Thank you.